YouTubers, welcome back to AZ2 Ozarks. We made it through what I expect will be our worst storm for this year, and additionally I think it will be our final snow. So we still have some time, about 11 weeks until our last frost on April 30th. That's the date for this year. But you can see the snow is melting around us. And I had started all of my seeds, not all of my seeds. I started a lot of seeds last week, so it's been 7 days, and a bunch of them had sprouted this morning. So I wanted them to get some direct sunlight because new sprouts have a habit of getting leggy, and that's when they grow really tall and skinny, searching for sunlight, but then the middle of the stem will become weak and it'll fall over and then die. And I don't want that to happen. So I want my seeds to have plenty of sunlight. So I brought them out to the greenhouse this morning. When I brought my seeds out to the greenhouse this morning, I had a bit of a problem. The front of the greenhouse door was all frozen. And so it was snow, but in this area it had turned to ice and it was pretty solid. So I couldn't get my greenhouse open. Here's some of the chunks here. And you can see that they're just really hard ice. And so I used a shovel and chipped away enough ice so that I could open my greenhouse door and get inside. And it is so nice and warm in here. It feels like the tropics practically. I mean, you could come in here and sunbathe in a bikini. And so I still have my little pak choi going right here. It's a mess, of course. But over here, I brought out some of my sprouts that were peeking out. And so I'm really excited about these. Growing things makes me super happy. I love plants and veggies and growing things. So this really makes me feel like spring is on the way, even though we still have some time left. And of course, the spinach is still kind of trucking along, but it should pick up its rate of growth now that the days are becoming longer. We are cattle farmers that practice regenerative farming, and we have South Pole cattle, which are a breed that is specifically raised to be grass-fed start to finish. And we believe that that's more healthy for our bodies. And so we have a vision for this property. Currently, we only have about 35 acres of cleared pasture, and we have a whole lot more of forest. So we ultimately want to clear some of our forest and do it strategically, where we keep strategic trees so we don't totally wipe them out, but have them for shade for the cattle and plus have them for wildlife. So before this storm came in and before we had snow and frozen ground, the guys had started a project of trying to clear out a little bit of the forest. Over here you can see where we have some forest, and the forest here has been unmanaged, so it's very thick. It's full of thorn bushes and low shrubbery, as well as very small little tiny trees coming up everywhere. It's very hard to get through, especially in the summertime. So the guys came over here with the equipment we had, which is our Mahindra tractor and the chainsaw. And they started working on pushing and pulling out trees and cutting trees. And this is as far as they got. It's not huge progress, but it did make a difference. I'll show you kind of the path where they cleared a little bit. But what happened is while they were spending hours and hours doing this, they realized this was not going to be a practical way of clearing forest. So Rick began looking for bulldozers to rent, and he really wasn't having much success. And so then he began looking for bulldozers to purchase. So really this is about the cleared area. So these are downed trees, obviously, which we intend to burn or mulch. That's something else we're still looking for, is a wood chipper, a big size one. And this is our cleared area. But he was having a hard time finding tractors for sale as well. And we actually went on a drive to where we had to, I think it was like a 4-hour round trip drive to look at one bulldozer that of course was not as advertised. There was way more wrong with it than they said. So that brings me to the point of this video. Ta-da! It is our brand new to us John Deere Bulldozer. But you can see it's parked in a weird place. So last night when the guys got home, this part of the driveway had been in the shade for several hours and was quite icy. And so while the old Dodge is an excellent truck, it was a little overweight and this was icy, so it was not going to make it up the hill. They thought about backing the tractor off in order to, lighten the load and just drive it up separately, but it's a little bit off camber here. It's on a hill, and Rick didn't want to do anything that might jeopardize rolling it off the ramps, because the ramps are back there, and the steel on steel, so the steel tracks on the steel ramps, it was just very icy and slippery. So we're going to be working on strategies to get this up the hill and all the way to the house today. The strategy we had discussed this morning was to attach the truck to the tractor and under the power of both the truck and the tractor, try and haul this up. Because this ground right here in front of the truck, even though it's four-wheel drive, it is still really icy and slick right here. And so just all of that weight hanging down on the back there, it's not getting any traction. So there's tension on the tow strap now, and you can see the Mahindra alone obviously won't pull it up, and the truck is in park, so it wouldn't give either. But the idea is my 14-year-old son's going to drive the Dodge, Rick's going to drive the Mahindra, and we'll see if we can get this thing up the hill. Well, just as a test, Rick has Keegan in the truck and giving it a little bit of gas, and it budged a little bit forward. So the truck may have been able to do it on its own, but the tractor will help as a second bit of power, and I think it's just going to come right up here. Let's see these guys in action. There we go. The Mahindra is four-wheel drive, but you see one front wheel and one rear wheel are spinning. The other two are not getting traction. Keegan's spinning the tires back there on the truck. Rick's gonna get a little roll at it. Here we go. He's shaking his head no. It's not looking like it's wanting to go anywhere. That's just a whole lot of weight back there. I think he said it was something like 16,000 pounds. Let's see what we've got going on under these tires. See, it's just icy there. Okay, Rick said they're gonna both try and back up a bit to try and get some momentum, come forward. So together, this is something to coordinate, and you have to realize Keegan doesn't have very much experience driving. He's 14 years old. He's been driving on the farm for years, but not very much on his own. He's usually got his dad in the truck with him, but he's been driving the tractor a lot, which is really, something that makes us proud. Yesterday he drove a bale down to the cattle and did all of that on his own. Here we go. Rick's telling him to back up again a little bit, because when you make little ruts, the tires kind of get stuck in there. You kind of have to bump over a new hole you've made. Okay, Rick's got him turning the wheels and coming forward. Sometimes we'd like to be able to clone Rick and have him in both vehicles at the same time, but it's an excellent lesson in patience for him, learning how to teach his son and bring him up to have the same skills eventually. And he's telling him to go back again. So they're in an area that's more melted and gravelly now. Oh, the strap just broke. Oh, maybe it just came undone. Not broke. There we go, there we go. Come on. Oh, the strap came undone again. See, it's got to go around this here, which isn't a great connection point. Doesn't really fit on there quite well.
A little stiff.
I think that's about as fast as the tracker can go right now. He's got it in the low range. So he just keeps waving Keegan, come on, keep going. Because they've got a long ways to make it all the way up to the shop. They made it. Now Rick's getting it unchained and I expect he'll be unloading it here shortly. And then he can give us all the information on what they said was wrong with it and what he thinks is wrong with it and what he can do to repair it. So a little history on Rick. He was a heavy equipment mechanic back in his early 20s, and so he has quite a bit of experience working on heavy equipment, so he's definitely the right guy for the job.
Cigarette lighter too.
Nice.
So I can plug in my phone, charge it.
So drive like a charm.
Yeah. She's a wheeler.
So you want to take a second and tell me what the guys said was wrong with it and what you think is wrong with it?
Well, only this side brake works, brake and clutch. The other side doesn't. But the linkage doesn't move right, so hopefully it's just jammed up or bent. It probably needs all the clutch packs, they're probably rusted together.
Okay, and that's something you can fix?
Yep.
All right, should we have lunch?
Buy all the parts to replace everything, it's only like $700.
Okay. before having to work on this, he wanted to get it cleaned up, so he's using a pressure washer to kind of clean out the tracks and all around anywhere where he's going to have to be taking things apart. These things can get a lot of mud piled up on them, and they can be really difficult to work with that way, so he's just trying to minimize dirt falling in his eyes while he's working on it and everything. Now they got the dozer cleaned up quite a bit, and they tore in a little bit, and it turns out that yes, Rick had to order the brake clutch pack, and he will be working on that. And they did change the oil in the transmission and did a few other things in order to get it working in tip-top shape. I cannot show you it functioning today just because our ground, the snow has melted, and this mud is like snot. So if that big heavy machine goes driving across here, it's going to make a heck of a mess. But stay tuned for our next video and you can see this in action. So make sure you like this video and subscribe.